Hey friend, welcome to Grounded, the vestibular podcast. I'm Dr. Madison Oak, aka the Vertigo Doctor. I am the vestibular physical therapist who is here to help you with all things dizziness, imbalance, and vertigo. In this podcast, we explore the fascinating world of vestibular disorders. Come with me as we dive headfirst into a journey to discover the mysteries of the brain, the inner ear, and the balance mechanisms that keep us grounded. Whether you've been managing dizziness for one day or 25 years, we're going to get real about what it takes to manage dizziness, handle the anxiety cycle, and thrive, not just survive, with your vestibular disorder. First, I want to remind you that this is never medical advice. Remember, this podcast is for informational purposes only and may not be the best fit for you and your personal situation. It shall not be construed as medical advice. The information and education provided here is not intended or implied to supplement or replace professional medical treatment, advice, and or diagnosis. Always check with your own physician, medical professionals, and healthcare team before trying or implementing any information found here. Hello and welcome back to Grounded. This week's One of the Week is by Vivian. She says, I'm a first grade teacher and I was so nervous about going on a field trip with my class. I made it through the bus ride with over 50 kids. It was loud and bumpy ride, but I was prepared and made it okay. Then we walked around in the heat at a farm. My hat helped tremendously, and just knowing I had my toolkit with me eased my mind. I love this so much because it shows how much preparation goes a long, long way. Knowing what to do when you have an attack or knowing I might do X when this happens is absolutely huge. So I'm obsessed with this. Obviously, I say this every week, but I am obsessed with this for a lot of reasons. But being prepared, and also, I'm sure there were chaperones because I don't think you can take 50 kids by yourself anywhere through a school. But having 50 kids and being in charge and being like, this is a field trip for my class that I'm taking them on, regardless of how many chaperones you have, is wild. What an overwhelming experience. But especially if / when you have a vestibular disorder, it's a million degrees outside, and she made it through and okay. She's fine. Huge. So congratulations to Vivian. I'm really proud of you for doing all of the things and getting there and getting through it. Awesome job. I love having you in group and I can't wait to see what you do next. Okay. Today we are talking all about optimal versus normal blood work. I want to remind you, I am not a medical doctor. I do not interpret blood work, but I do get a lot of questions about blood work. So we're going to do like a kind of quick overview here. And then I want to remind you that we have an quote optimal blood work worksheet. It is linked below if you would like to sign up for it. It is literally just like a singular email that you will get. And again, it's linked below. Over 3,000 people have received it, which is pretty flippin' cool if you ask me. But we made it with a DO who kind of does like, or she does do optimal blood work versus what am I trying to say? She looks at optimal versus normal blood work values, and these are the values that she uses in her practice for most people. I am just writing to the editor of this podcast to link this in the show notes, so hopefully it goes in there. A lot of times you'll go to the doctor, and let's say like the normal for a blood work of some sort is 3 to 55, and you are at 4, and the doctor's like, everything looks normal, but you're like, I don't feel normal, right? And all of your ranges are kind of on the low side, and you're like, I just don't know what to do about this. This is really frustrating. I don't love this. Because again, people have especially been talking about this with ferritin, but it goes for pretty much every single level. That doesn't necessarily mean it's optimal, and optimal ranges are like a shrunken, smaller range. Sometimes they fall outside of the normal ranges, but usually they're within normal, but like on the higher or lower side and like a shrunken range. So, this also matters because to get in the average means that it is statistically in the bell curve of normal. And as Americans get less and less healthy overall, our blood work looks less and less healthy. So our norms actually can shift. It's kind of like what they say where men will be infertile by like 2050 or something like that compared to what fertility looks like now or even in like the 60s. And I don't have the exact numbers on this. I am not a fertility specialist, but I follow some on Instagram because I think it's so interesting. Slash, I refer people to them all the time. And this woman, she is at Walk the Natural Path. Her name is Dr. Samantha Esse, and she talks a lot about how like normal normal now in the 60s would have been considered infertile, which is literally crazy, like literally insane. So we could assume slash we know that the blood work situation is similar to that. So we're just missing context because these lab ranges are based on large populations. They're not based on you and what's normal for you. So for example, TSH, it might look normal, but functionally you might feel hypothyroid. And that might not be in the optimal range. Plus, different like labs, so like your hospital versus LabCorp versus Quest, might all be different, which is also crazy and super unreliable. So the same thing goes for ferritin, vitamin D, B12, like all of these different things. So we wanted to look at more optimal ranges. And that is what you can get in the PDF. Yeah, the PDF that I have attached. I have not attached the PDF. I have attached the sign up for it. And if you're like, I signed up for it and I can't find it, I promise you that you probably signed up for it back in January and that it's not like filtering in your email. This has happened. I have probably resent this thing to over 100 people at this point. I can resend it to you. I basically have to delete you from the list and then re-add you from the list. So if you DM me your email address that you use to sign up for it, that it's quote not coming to, I can see when you received it. And every single time I've done this, I go and check just to make sure. And 100% of the people who have said they haven't received it have received it. I can see it was opened, but it just was like back in January of 2025. So that's like way lost in the email at this point. Because again, who has time to scroll that far back? Not me. So I will send it to you again if you need it. For example, ferritin can be normal, quote, down as low as 3, but optimal ferritin is around 100. But ferritin could also be elevated due to inflammation. And this is why having like a full blood work panel matters so much because it's not just it's not just one or two things that this hinges on, right? Like if your ferritin is super high on blood work, but also like your inflammatory markers are super high on your blood work and you're like, "Oh my gosh, and your iron is really low." Maybe we could then look at that and say like, "Oh, maybe functionally your ferritin is not actually high. It is showing to be high because your inflammatory markers are high, not because you actually have enough iron in your body." So this is where optimal and normal kind of get into the mix. Who's actually going to order this for you? You need to track your labs over time. You need to address deficiencies gently and slowly. Ask for a copy of your labs that you can take home always, and then see if whoever you feel like of your doctors listens to you the best can order them. If you feel like no one's going to order them, two options are you can use Function Health. I don't have any relationship to them. I ordered them for my husband for Christmas last year. It was great. 10 out of 10 would recommend the experience. It was so easy. I have gotten all my mass amounts of blood work through Dr. Tammy Lyday at the Lyday Center. She is licensed in most states in the US, so most people can go see her. If you want to do Function Health, it's definitely less expensive, but then you don't get like as thorough of a personal like report because they're not seeing you one on one. It's like an AI thing. But it is pretty cool and it does work. So normal labs are not the end of the story, especially if you're like on the really low end or the really high end of a lab. That is like the ends before it is a disease state or like a diagnosable problem. So, like, again, ferritin at 100 is optimal, at 3 is normal, and 2 would be like, quote, problematic. But in reality, anything under 40 or 50 is probably like pretty problematic. And so, what do we do with those people between 3 and 40? Some people will get them iron infusions, other people won't. But then we also need to look at like the cofactors for absorbing iron. Maybe you don't have any vitamin C. Maybe you don't have any vitamin A. So even if you are taking iron or getting an iron infusion, your body can't process it. And again, this is why you need to look at all of your blood work, not just singular things. So hopefully this is helpful. Use the optimal blood worksheet from below. And if you have any questions about it, remember, I do not do this type of blood work. So definitely ask your doctor, whichever doctor you feel like you trust and get along with best for the answer to this question. All right. You know how to find me at the Vertigo Doctor everywhere on the internet. I love you, and I will see you next time on Grounded. Bye.